ladies and gentlemen, from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studios, it is another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. My name is Matt Tabacco from SmokinTabacco.com, and I am joined once again by my beautiful fiancée, Smokin Nicole. Mr. Jonathan Carney from La Flor Dominicana is not with us tonight, but we have with us a true icon making a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. Mickey Pegg from All Saints Cigars. Mickey, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you.
Doing fantastic. We're having some All Saints cigars with us tonight.
Trying to beat the heat.
Yeah.
It's very hot and humid here in Boston. So if you can see the glare, it's sweaty. It's sweaty.
Oh, you guys are great. No.
I'm definitely gonna need another shower after this. I've already showered twice today. It's crazy. I was reading in the news this week. There's a lot of celebrities who have come forward and said that they don't believe in showering daily. Have you seen that?
Wasn't it Mila Kunis?
Yeah,
and Ashton Kutcher?
yeah. And then it was also
bathe us or our
it was
kids.
also my other favorite couple there. Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard, I believe, also said the same thing. And then I think The Rock came out and was like, yeah, that's just stupid. I shower twice a day. So I don't know. I mean,
Well, have you ever met a cigar sales rep or a cigar guy on the road? We don't have to shower. You're not going to smell it because of the smoke.
it's true. It's true. The smoke covers everything up. Covers up the BO, the sweat, the whole thing.
There's
So,
no point trying to fight it.
Yeah,
I
no.
feel like.
Absolutely
You hear
not.
Howie Mandel goes, "Oh, that's great." He goes, because he's such a germaphobe. He goes, "That's great. That's just more water for me to clean up." He was excited.
It's one way to look at it.
Don't recall. Oof. These are so good. We'll start with Mickey, and then we'll go around the table, and we'll end with me. But, Mickey, what are you smoking tonight?
I'm actually smoking our newest release that just came out, and it's shipping now. It's the St. Francis.
Ooh.
So that we were able to really showcase it at the PCA. Unfortunately, some of the samples that you guys got didn't get the cigar band on it because we had to get the other ones out the market so the consumers could get those. And but you got some other special things in there, I know. And what that has an Oscuro wrapper on it from Ecuador and Habano. And its fillers are Nicaraguan and binders is Nicaraguan. And it's made in the Tabacusa factory in Esteli. So I don't want to
Nice.
say too much because you might ask me a question.
Oh, we'll get into it. Don't worry. Nicole, what are you smoking over there?
I'm smoking the St. Francis, Colorado.
Ooh. So, from what I understand, after our chat with Mickey at the trade show, this is a cigar that's coming out later this year, around October. From what I understand, after our chat with Mickey at the trade show.
And the
this
name
is
on that will be dominant, will be Colorado with an underscore of St. Francis. The blends, the blends are on the same level. The percentages of what we put in there is a little bit different, and obviously a different style wrapper. So,
And then,
also, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, I was just gonna. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying there. Okay.
No.
I'm having the All Saints Dedication Habano, which is also a new release coming out.
Yes, sir. I love that one.
And I have that right here. Again, with the factory bands on it. For those who are listening along with us who can't see, it's a very simple band. But again, it's for the consumers. They need the nice bands and the box presentation, which is very important. So,
Well, I can tell you right now, there's only 100 of those out there right now.
Huh.
And that was there for the people at PCA, for the retailers, and for the media. So 100 of those went out there. So you're in the 1 percentile right now. You're the 1 percenter.
It's a very exclusive group, and I'm very honored to smoke the cigar.
Keep it exclusive. Yeah.
It's so far. I mean, I'm still almost freshly lit here, and it has an amazing draw to it. A lot of nice flavor to this cigar. I like the box press on it, which all of them, they all have a nice box press to them, which is something I do enjoy. So, and it just you can tell so far, especially construction-wise, it's been done really well. And I'll have to smoke the rest of the cigar to see how it ends up being. But so far, so good. But if you head over to our friends at twoguyscigars.com, you can pick up All Saints cigars, such as I almost dropped the ball.
Dedication.
Butchered
The
it.
dedication.
Call it dedication. That's fine. Garofalo calls it dedication. Barry calls it dedication. Mr. Jonathan calls it dedication. Ed Santamera calls it dedication. But it's that's a whole other story.
Dedication.
Yes.
Yeah. I went back and forth with it, and it's like it's like any of those things. People call it one way, some people call it a different way. You just gotta pick a side and stick with it. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like Garofalo and Barry and the guys on Cigar Authority, they are known for poor pronunciation of some brands too, which is funny. It's kind of like one of their running gags on the show.
Mr. Jonathan. Like, no wonder he's divorced.
Like I think is it Dave who's known for pronouncing it Arganorsa leaf instead of Aganorsa leaf?
He doesn't pronounce anything right, and everything's full bodied. You have to like the cigar before it's full bodied. You got to put it in your mouth and smoke it first. It's full bodied.
So head over to twoguyscigars.com and check out All Saints Cigars and get yours today. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. So Mickey, there's a lot we can get into tonight. There's a lot we can talk about while we smoke these amazing cigars that no one has right now. So you've had, how do I want to slice and dice this? So, I mean, you were in the cigar industry for a while, and then you left.
Yeah.
And then you went into the financial field for a little while. And then you decided it's time for you to come back. But when you came back, you did it your way. You did it with your own brand, which launched officially in November of 2019 on All Saints Day. Very fitting for All Saints cigars. But prior to that, so you had worked for Georgetown Tobacco, I believe.
Right.
And that's kind of where you got your introduction into the cigar business. So tell me a little bit about that in terms of what was it about the cigars that, that became your passion?
Yeah, if you would have asked me in college and out of college if I'd be in the cigar industry, I'd tell you you're crazy. Basically, I think I've told the story before, but I was fetching cigars for a senator, and back then you wanted to pump up your resume. So what you did on your resume is you got internships, and you didn't have to pay interns back then.
Right.
But you were so eager to do these internships, you did them, and what he would do is there wasn't Uber, there wasn't Venmo, there wasn't any of those type of situations, and everything was primarily cash. That was 1989. I was a junior at the Catholic University in Washington, D.C., and it was the spring. And if you did a good job, they would send you on errands. You wanted to run errands. That means you did a good job, and you actually got to keep the leftover cash of what they gave you. So my job was to get in a cab, go from Capitol Hill down to Georgetown Tobacco, grab cigars, get in a cab, go back. Any leftover cash, I got to keep. And
pretty good gig.
Somebody didn't show up, yeah, it was a great gig. And if somebody didn't show up for that cigar, you got to sit in with the senator, and the senator might be on the phone with the president of the United States or wherever they're on with, and listen to this and smoke a cigar. You're 20 years old watching this. So after doing that for so long, David Berkebile, owner of Georgetown Tobacco, just turned 81, 56 years in the business, offered me a job as a part-time sales associate. And that's where it all kind of started from there. And right then, they talk about the cigar boom. I don't really think it was a boom. I think it was like a boom that it came out of the cannon, because it never really came down. It just kind of, the growth just kind of slowed. And I don't think the growth really slowed at all. If anything, it settles and keeps going up. So
more like a revolution, really.
Yes, in a good way. So if you talk to Charlie Tarano, my old pal from the old days, he would tell you that don't say revolution. It was an exodus, all that. But it was a revolution. It came out of the cannon, and the cannonball is you got to come down. Let's keep it that way. But it was a great opportunity. And what happened was there was George Padron. I tell the story all the time. I was just talking to him at the PCA, an old dear friend. He was just helping taking his dad taking the anniversaries out to market, and they needed help doing these cigar events. And George said, "Hey, Mickey, can you do me a favor? Can you go to the Cosmopolitan Club, which is one of the exclusive dining clubs in Washington D.C. And can you talk about my cigars? I'll give you a box of cigars and I'll give you some cash." And I said, "Okay, so let me get this right. I got to put a suit on, go have an 8-course meal, smoke the cigars, get some cash, walk with a box of cigars, and also have a chance to push my resume, to work at Capitol Hill," because David Berkebile made everybody have their resumes done and on file in case you had that opportunity to get a job. Georgetown Tobacco was a very active place at that time. A lot of diplomats came in there.
Right.
There's a lot of status. And people would always say, "Hey, when you get a chance, send me your resume. You seem like a good kid." And you never hear from them. But if you had it right there, David made sure that you had to have your resumes there. You'd hand them out. So I would literally carry my resumes in my suit jacket, because you're always in a suit back then.
Right.
And then it just kind of, I was chasing, dreams for Capitol Hill. And then from there, Davidoff approached me and offered me a regional job. So.
And then you became a sales rep for Davidoff.
Yes, and they were in a broker sales force. I know we have a broker environment now. They were going from a broker to a direct sales force. I helped them go from a broker to a direct sales force. Helped them if they had appointed merchant contracts. Graffalo can tell you a little bit about that. And I found a way to make that a little bit easier for that digestible, because it was more of a manufacturer telling the retailer what to do, and that's kind of hard sometimes. And I loved my experience there. It was just time for me to move on.
Yeah.
Simply because I saw the glass ceiling. And matter of fact, long gone after I left, all those same people in those same spots. And I think I wanted more and I needed more. And then CAO offered me that opportunity to do that. And then when I was CAO, matter of fact, I'm sitting here in Woodland Indian in Havertown, and I walk in, and Miguel Chodell's in here, one of the guys that I hired in the industry, and now he's just doing wonders with John Huber and all my old buddies over at Crown Heads. Came in, and then CAO, we went to the next level, and the family sold, and Scandinavian Tobacco bought us, and then a year later they rolled it into General, and a year later all of us were gone. I was the first one to go, and I came back to the Philadelphia area where I was living originally before I moved to Nashville for CAO. Finished up my master's at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and chased a financial career selling mutual funds, wrapped into retirement plans. And I got to a point where I'm like, this is great. This is, family's great. After 20 years in, I have to get back in. So this process started in 2017. And then obviously fast forward, I was in the factories in 18, couldn't get down to the factories in 18 simply because the political climate was very tough to be down there.
Right.
Got down there in 19, very excited to take stuff to market. The first container to ever come in on time after spending a year down there. And that's one of the reasons I named that first line Dedicación. It was a little nod to the people working in the factories and the fincas. You spent so much time with them. I wanted a little nod to them. Came in February of 2020. March 17th, we're going to do our big press release. Coop, of course, had new stuff before my wife did about what was going on. That guy's unbelievable. And I talked to him about it, and we just kind of kept our heads low for a couple months, and finally I just went out and hit the streets, and that's where we are today. So.
But don't call it. But don't call it a comeback.
It was a hiatus. Yes.
It was a hiatus. You took a break. Hey, you know what? Everyone needs to take a break once in a while. It's good for everybody.
Well, what's funny is when I was selling mutual funds, everybody asked me about cigars. Now I'm going around seeing my old friends and getting back in and setting up our accounts with some of my old friends. All they want to do is talk about, because of the markets, they want to talk about mutual funds. I'm like, okay. The mutual fund and a cigar are very similar at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, it's funny. I was reading a little bit about a little bit about that earlier, and I like how you kind of compare mutual funds and finance to the makeup of a cigar. And if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
like the stocks were the fillers, if I remember correctly.
Yes, exactly. So mutual funds is basically a bucket of stocks, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a style. So that could be whatever blend or whatever body or style you have. There's always that wrapper that you put on there is always distinctive, right? That we always talk about, and there's always a debate how much that influences the cigar and when it doesn't. That wrapper inside of a mutual fund is your that wrapper would basically be the style. The binder in a cigar would basically be that one major stock that holds it. Apple stock, which is in almost every single freaking mutual fund, whether they admit it or not. And then your fillers, all the other different stocks that are in there, and it kind of keeps it together. Because in Nicaragua, most of the people down there, when you talk about your recipes and you're putting your percentages and you put all these pieces together, they're not like the Dominican with the single binder, and they talk about the binder as much as part of the recipe. So, I learned from a bird's eye view the industry, or I should say the factories and the fincas, from my Davidoff days, taking customers down there, because I used to have to entertain all the customers down in Dominican Republic.
Right.
And then I actually, really cut my teeth, being on the blending team with John Hubert and Tim Osgener and those guys at CAO, and learn those little intricacies about what they do and what they talk about their blend. Everybody does it, has a different style, the architecture, the way the leaf, and all the boring stuff you've heard a million times. But yeah, it's very similar.
I'm gonna have to pick his brain. I just downloaded TD Ameritrade. I'm trying to read up.
Nicole
Embark
wants to
on
get
something
in,
new.
Nicole wants to get into some investments.
Yeah.
So, you might have to have a little offline conversation with her on that. That might be you might be the guy.
Yeah, because I think I'm still licensed. My licenses don't expire. Oh, they might expire soon, but so technically, even though I'm not attached to a brokerage, I'm not allowed to give advice.
Damn. That's fine.
But
It's okay.
I can.
You can guide.
That's okay. I'm doing my research. I'm trying to watch as many YouTube videos.
I can tell you where to do your research.
Okay.
That's good.
That's
That's
good
good.
enough.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
Just need to step in the right direction.
Yeah, he doesn't trust me with our money.
Buy and hold,
That's what
buy
that
and hold.
means.
Somebody's going to jump on here and yell at me, but buy and hold, buy and hold, buy
Okay.
and hold. Especially as young as you guys are, buy and hold.
Okay.
I guess that's what we're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
I want to hit our news segment really quick, and then we'll jump back into this. Our news segment is brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. McAuliffe Cigars become an ambassador today. If you head over to McAuliffeCigars.com, you can sign up, become an official ambassador, and receive your official ambassador coin and number. I'm gonna make this quick. Our news today is a little bit more on the political side. It's FDA. Swisher International sues the FDA over September 9th pre-market approval enforcement. This is obviously part of the ongoing battle of us,
Everything.
of the cigar community, industry.
My text started at 3:30 this morning on this freaking issue.
Do you have anything you want to say on it? The floor is yours. If you no. It's like a game of tennis. It just keeps going back and forth, and it's the FDA once again, putting stuff out there, and the industry fires back, and they try to sue. The substantial equivalence is a big part of it, and it's an ongoing issue. And anyone who kind of sits here and goes, "Oh, they're talking about the FDA again," and they just think well, it's just this thing that goes on. This is always, I like to bring these ones. I don't really like to get too balls deep into them, so to speak, for lack of a better term, because I know it is dry and it's the same shit. I like to read but I like to.
It is important.
Yeah, and I like to at least read the headline and bring it up because it's a reminder that, even consumers, listening at home, this affects you too, and this is why you need to be a part of organizations like Cigar Rights of America, and
Okay, very good. Yes, absolutely.
And support like Premium Cigar Association of America. In those are the organizations that are opposing FDA. Alongside manufacturers, and a lot of other people within the industry.
Yeah, I think from a consumer standpoint, so it's almost like you put an asterisk next to that conversation and then whatever. But if they go to the CRA, and that's where they can actually have a really good understanding and get a little bit more in depth about what you're talking about. Because for some of us, I mean, I know a lot of your watching community is might be a little bit not know all the details of that, but I encourage you to really go take a look at that. And I'm sure you can go to Matt and Nicole's site and find that the CRA or one of the places that will, or even Half Wheel, give you a little bit more insight of what that means, how that's translatable to you as a consumer.
Yeah, I mean, we have the
translatable thing is that it could be more expensive if you don't pay attention and help. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have the links to the CRA and the PCA and all those organizations on our website. If you head to SmokinTabacco.com, you can find Cigar Rights of America. You know, you can sign up and be a member yourself. And your money is that you sign up for membership. It's not much, but it goes towards the cause. You know, it is it's in a sense, think of it as a donation that helps fund this fight to protect this lifestyle that we all love and enjoy so much. So again, I like to bring that up. I use it as a news topic, but I also use it as my segue to bring up cigar rights because it is so important for us. But getting back to Mickey, so we've talked a little bit about your early days or your salad days, so to speak. We talked about, you know, getting into Davidoff and then going to CAO, and now you're here with All Saints. So from what I understand, the All Saints, tell me a little bit. I'll let you tell the story. Because I know the story, but I want you to tell the story. It's your story. Tell us a little bit of how the All Saints name came to be.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So we knew that I have two partners, and long dear friends. One of the partners is the godfather, my oldest daughter. But we knew that the first line of cigars that we came out with wanted to be dedicated to the people in my life and our lives. So we knew it was going to be dedication. And I couldn't believe that we got past trademark with dedication. Dedication, doesn't matter if it's Spanish or English. It's all, if you trademark one, you're trademarking the other, multiple languages, whatever. So we're sitting there, and so we knew the line, and we're like, all right, what are we going to call it? We had these names. You know, they wanted to call it bow tie because I used to wear a bow tie, Mickey Pegg. I'm like, I don't want to name anything after me because it's a group effort, and there's just a lot of different things. And my buddy Martin, who's the godfather of my oldest daughter, Tierney, starts laughing. He goes, well, Mickey, that's Michael, St. Michael, Frank, St. Francis. And he goes, All Saints. We're like, well, Martin, there's no freaking St. Martin. I never heard of St. Martin. He goes, yeah, there's islands named after it. And we had a couple drinks.
True.
And we started laughing. And we're like, no, the islands aren't named after you. They're named after the saint. He goes, but you just said there wasn't a St. Martin. I'm like, all right. And we just liked the name All Saints. And it came together. What happened was, which I should have told this in the beginning, when I kept referring to all these beautiful people in my life, all these mentors and all these people that I had, and I know that's very passionate for you guys because you talk about it quite a bit in your shows. And I loved watching your Bear segment. I love Bear. And, I kept referring to them as saints. And I think that's what sparked Martin for that idea. Like David Berkebile, we named our Robusto Berkey after David Berkebile, the one we talked about, Georgetown Tobacco. Our Toro is named Commandant. I went to Valley Forge Military Academy more for high school. More importantly, my partner, Frank Leo, went to the Air Force Academy. Also, he calls his son Berkey too, but spelled a little bit different. The 6x60 are huge. I call everybody huge. It's funny, like if Condor or Huber or those guys, if you text huge, it autocorrects to Hugo. So now I also have a nickname, Hugo. So when that, like, if I can't remember your name, I just call you Huge. So I thought it was appropriate for the 6x60. And then the Commandant, our Churchill 7x48, I call Coach. And that's really big nod to coach I had in high school, Jim Berner, and big time to Fred O'Connor, who was my coach at Catholic University in college. But it's also Coach is another team I affectionately call my mentors. especially if I'm in a mentoree environment, if that's correct. So, and we really wanted that first line to come out, and that's why if you see a box of our cigars are 10 over 10, we really wanted that to, you know, tell the story, the initial
Right.
story. So,
Now, I was reading something about you. You talk about building a brand. One of the things that I read is that you are something that you really believe in is brand fatigue, and that's something that
yes.
you really try to work into your everyday strategy of how not only you promote your brand but you grow your brand from the inside. Tell us a little bit more about kind of what your strategy has been on that with a world full of, we talked about there being a boom that really never ended. All these brands have just kind of come out of the woodwork. Successful brands, a lot of good brands, a lot of cigars are available. But how does, someone like you starting off, newer brand, you have experience in the industry, but you have a newer brand in a sea of very popular names. How do you set yourself apart from that? How do you plan to set yourself up for the future?
Stupidity, a lot of whiskey. Um,
Great
so
mix.
I would say like brand fatigue. We all get brand fatigue, with anything. And I don't care how loyal you are. There's still always an inch of brand fatigue, and you'll flirt with something else. So I was very conscious of that. Um, but my thing was that what can we do to differentiate ourselves? And that's a question that doesn't have an answer. It
Mm,
does, but it has a timestamp on it,
right.
and it's like the timestamp of a goldfish. You got the goldfish remembers stuff for 10 seconds. You got to move on. So yeah, so that's important. So what can you do to stay relevant, with your growth? If you look at some of these great companies now that are doing it and they're growing their brands and they're growing their companies, they're finding ways, and the way they are staying successful is they're finding a way to create new identities for their brands, and they keep lively the way they interact, and those are the people that survive. So when I say that, brand fatigue, I also say it to myself. Sometimes if I'm talking to a person, I'm actually talking to myself, reminding myself of what we need to do and what we should try to avoid doing. But bring something to the table that is a little different, but it is the same in a sense. So um, there's some great people out there, that do a great job of that. Some of them you talk well about them. Saka does a great job of that. Um, Obviously, Hubert does a great job of that. Drew Estates has done a tremendous job. They've got to a behemoth and still do that, and still in that corporate structure, and still keeping that going and that energy going. So that's something that we always have to be aware of. You want to always connect with the consumer. The consumer is the number one person in the entire operation, but you have to absolutely respect 1,000% the conduit of how your cigar gets to them.
Mm,
Everything from a marketing, imaging, the way they tell the story, um, to the way the brand gets to them, whether the way you the cellophane, putting a boveda in the box and sealing it and all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, you're ultimately responsible for that. That brand, the way it comes across from everything from a tangible standpoint, and I say tangible from a flavor profile, all the ways to an image. Does somebody want to wear a Smokin Tabacco hat? Does somebody want to wear an All Saints hat? That's branding. That's one piece of it. Um, I'm not as swagalicious as everybody else, but I believe in swag. In cigars. So it's got to touch all the senses. At one point, and keep fresh. It's like congratulations, you guys got engaged a couple weeks ago. Um, I just celebrated my 22nd anniversary. You have to what are you doing to always you don't have you haven't crossed this bridge yet, but what are you doing to keep that spark alive? One of my favorite things to do, and it drives her crazy because she thinks I'm being a kiss ass, is I still refer to my wife as my bride. I've always called her my bride from the day that we got married on August 7th, 22 years ago. So yeah, it's those things you have to do that when you get on the road, how do when you're on the road and you're out there grinding it, and it's something you want to do, and grinding, I don't like the name, but it's just a great way to do it. You get a little tired. What are you doing to keep it fresh? Who are you talking to? What are you doing? You listen, and have fun with it. So yeah, brand fatigue. Does that answer the question?
I think so.
Well,
I
like
think
you said,
covered most of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, it doesn't have a very definitive answer, but
No.
you answered it, I think, the best way you could. And I try to ask the difficult questions when I can.
Yeah.
There's so many options for cigars, and people are they're willing to try new things, I feel like, nowadays, just compared to other times.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
You got to be compelling. What are you doing to be compelling to people to gravitate them to your brand, to try it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like this came up. I'm trying to go off of memory here, because I was at the Cigar Authority episode last weekend, and this came up. I can't remember the conversation, but I remember this topic came up. There was a time when, I think the question was popular cigars by region or country of origin. I'm trying to remember the conversation, but the basis of it was like, if you ask people what their favorite is, 20 years ago maybe you'd get Dominican, and like now it's like you got Nicaragua, and you have like Honduras is like getting popular now, and Dominican. I think they had a poll, actually. There was a poll they were going off of, and like Costa Rica was on there, with brands such as like Byron Atabay. And Dominican was not even, I don't even think, in the top 3. But it's funny because there was a time when like people were like Dominican, like that was what people smoked, and now there's just so many varieties that are available.
Well, the interesting thing about that is that they actually know that they're smoking a cigar from where that's fabricated. First of all, so we're talking about fabrication, where it's actually produced,
right?
Or do they know that's from there or not? So, for instance, when I first got in the business, Dominican was the California, obviously Cuba was the France, old world, new world. The old world, new world is a term that's been going on in retro hailing for about the last 10 years, right? So, when you rule of thumb, when I was in retail back in 1989, 1990, if somebody said they wanted a mild, medium, or full-bodied cigar, if they said mild, you immediately took them to a DR cigar, right? If they said full-bodied, you took them right to Nicaragua. If they wanted medium, you took them to a Honduran cigar. There wasn't that many out there, though. Christian, with his cigars at that time, were really full-bodied. He was just coming on the scene, with his dad, because his dad's always been behind the scenes, and his brother, who's now obviously getting back out there. And Christian and I talk about it all the time. And it's just interesting. When they say that, do they know what they're talking about? So, for instance, Lido crushed it he crushed the whole rule of thumb. He broke the thumb with that full-bodied smoke coming out of the DR. He owned a company called Los Diplomáticos, and then changed it to La Flor Dominicana when he bought the factory with Inez. This is right after he got out of the jewelry business. And Carney can tell this story a lot better than I could. I'm going after my memory from being working in retail at the time.
Right.
And then people were making milder cigars in Central America. So that's happening. Now you can make a nice mild cigar in Honduras. Nicaragua you can. It's a little bit tougher. Just because of the torcedores and a couple other different reasons. That's going to change. Abdel is doing that 1,000%. He's the new disruptor. Lido was the first disruptor of that rule of thumb. He broke the thumb. We like to say he broke the thumb. At least I like to say he broke the thumb in a good way. So, and that's changed the game. And that's why you have old world Cuba. There's only one old world Cuba.
Right.
And now new world is all kind of lumped together, and you can see what they're happening. What's going on with that. And look at Carlito. Carlito could freaking make anything he wants, just using Dominican tobacco.
Right.
At any strength level, So.
I mean, you said you bring up Carlito. There was a time when, kind of on this topic. There was a time when you couldn't grow wrappers in the Dominican Republic, and when he said he
Well,
was
they
gonna.
tried for years.
Yeah, they tried and they failed, and he said, one of the things he said was, well, I want to make everything, and I want to make I want to be able to make the whole thing. I don't want to be buying.
Yes.
And they were like, "You're so stupid. You're never gonna. You don't get it. You don't. You'll learn. You'll learn." And in 1995, Opus X comes out, and you couldn't keep them in
Yep.
stock. And that's another like change in the game. Like, okay, now we can grow Dominican wrapper.
Right.
So
But he
it
said he was doing that. But look what Abdel's doing down in freaking Central America.
yeah.
Now Rocky Valencia is doing it with that Connecticut style wrapper. They're
Yeah.
working on it. These next couple of crops, you're going to see some really interesting things coming out of Central America. Some really fantastic things. I'm down there. I see it. It's amazing. And I'm like, am I going to be able to buy some of this? No, so it's funny, and it's just and that's what's so awesome and so fascinating about the industry.
I've been kind of likening the cigar industry to kind of like the craft beer movement in a way, because I mean, again, there was also a time when it was like you had your Budweiser, you had your Miller, you had your Coors, you had Yingling, Pennsylvania. Now, I mean, you got all these craft brews and micro brews, and like everyone has a brewery now, and they're working on different blends and with different ingredients. And the cigar industry is a lot like that. You have a lot more different things
with
being
your small batch and your limited editions and all that stuff.
Yeah, you have a lot more of that now. People are really expanding and experimenting with all these different things, and it's really changed. I think it's changed the whole game. Of just not only from a retail standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, from a manufacturing standpoint, even for us. I mean, you go to a trade show, like we were all just at PCA. You go to a trade show, you go to all the booths, and you see all the different brands there, and they all have 30 varieties of all these different cigars and different tobaccos. Some manufacturers are working with different countries too. Some like a Dominican, Nicaraguan. They have a variety.
Oh yeah.
And it's kind of hard to keep it all in. You're trying to keep it all okay. So they're working with this, and this, but and these guys are working with this, and this, and it's challenging. But it also it kind of keeps everything fresh because you're kind of always trying something new. You're not really just in the same spot all the time, which is good. And it's part of the evolution of the industry. So.
Yeah, Hanky Kellner was one of the first guys to do that because I remember when I was working at Davidoff and I was taking people down to the factories. And he called for different reasons. He called a long time ago that Connecticut wrapper. When I say Connecticut wrapper, from Connecticut Valley,
right?
And as we know, Connecticut wrapper is not from Connecticut. It's from Connecticut Valley. So Connecticut wrapper could be Massachusetts. It comes out of that valley. And Nick Maleo does a great job of explaining that. But he knew at a certain point there was going to be some kind of shortage. Now I'm going back 20 years ago or 20 something years ago. For other reasons, and that's why he put Ecuador in. Now, when you talk about shade wrapper, what is shade wrapper? Is it cheesecloth? Is it clouds? Is it jungle? Cameroon's basically is a shade wrapper, but it's shaded by the jungle.
Right.
Connecticut, it's cheesecloth. In Ecuador, it's the clouds. So, and he identified Ecuador as a great growing country, and he was one of the first ones, and people were bar knuckling him a little bit about experimenting with wrappers out of Ecuador. Now, how many different styles of Ecuadorian wrapper do we have? I mean, hell, you got 3 of them sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
For me, you got an Oscuro, you got a Colorado, and then you got a regular Habano.
Yep.
But they're all Ecuadorian. But it's all different primings, different things that happen to the wrapper. And there's different styles, there's different regions, and so yeah, it's interesting.
And it's funny, you slice it down even a little further. You can even get into, you take all those different varieties, and then you get into just how they're fermented. People have so many different methods of how they even ferment the cigars, how long, where, the conditions that they use, then how they age it after. It's there's a whole science, and I think that a lot of people are aware of the manufacturing side, and even let's go before that, just the farming side of how cigars are made. And, it's not even just like, you go to a cigar shop and you see all these facings and you're like, wow, look at all the variety. You look at the farm, look at the variety of just the tobaccos that they have. And then the variety of just what they're doing with it and how they're fermenting it and what they're using it for. I mean, we're going to use this, we're going to ferment it like this, we're going to roll it for this and age it this way. And, they're doing it in so many different combinations. It's crazy. And it can be hard to keep up with, but...
endless variation.
Yeah, it's like endless variation.
Yeah, Pete Townsend talks about it all the time. If we're all sat in a room, say the three of us, and gave us the same ingredients, and we went into different rooms with our different torcedores and our different influences on who influences us, come out, you're going to have three different cigars. Same ingredients. And that's true. Like, it just, it's different things. We put the leaf, in the fermentation, when you talked about the different fermentations, everybody thinks fermentation is just one spot. It's constantly going through. There's pre-industry, for the consumers out there. I guess pre-industry there's a lot that happens in pre-industry that could determine what that tobacco is going to do once it gets rolled. And everybody has a different way they do pre-industry. And it's a weird name, but it's what they do, what way they take the humidity out, put it back in, what they do, where they put it, what height, how they do it, how they aerate it before it goes into the pelons. Everybody has a different system at least I know in Nicaragua. And Honduras, yeah, I know about a couple locations in Honduras, but Honduras is pretty unilateral. But yeah, you nailed that.
Yeah, I mean, even there's a manufacturer who I know, even on the post-roll aging, that they age them for 4 or 5 years, and an especially made humidor with various kinds of cedar wood that gets sanded down annually to keep it fresh, and the way that they fluctuate the humidity from extremely high to extremely low and kind of fill it with moisture, dry it out, and just kind of sponge through, and again, as you say, everyone...
I know people do that. I know, yeah, but yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm not going to say any names, but yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say names either, but I was just saying for the sake of the for the conversation, yeah, everyone's got these methods that they do, and they do that, but maybe down at my father, they do something different, and then the Aroas, they do something different from those two, and everyone has their own recipe. But at the end of the day, all the cigars come out and you smoke them, and they all taste different, and you hope that they're usually good quality, and most of them are, for the most part. Sometimes you get a stinker, but that's kind of far and few between these days. Most cigars are pretty damn good.
They're all good.
But Nicole, you want to lead us into the top 3 segment?
Yes, top 3. I'm curious, what are your top 3 whiskeys? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Irish, and Scotch. No.
That's an easy answer.
Yeah, I know, right? Come on.
Come on, I want
brands,
names. I want names.
We're always looking for something new.
It's funny that you say that. And when I was out there and I was national sales manager and VP of CAO and going out there, my bailiwick was always pick up a couple of bottles and we would pair it up. And now everybody, like when I came back in, they're like, "Are you going to wear a bow tie? Are you going to do the bourbon pairings and all this stuff?" And I said, I used to get happy by the case for free. Hubert can attest to this.
Mm-hmm.
They would come down and give us, and I couldn't believe from that moment, those couple of years I was out, how this explosion, like you can't get Blantons and stuff like that. So I will tell you that I am a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
And then I'm a rum guy. So when I'm stateside, I'm bourbons, and when I'm in the factories, I drink not a tremendous amount because my mother-in-law might be watching, of Florida Cognac, different ones and variations. But I will tell you, my go-to, just kind of like sitting there, like having something with club soda and a little Diet Coke, with a splash of Diet Coke, which is Basme, would be Evan Williams. Um,
Evan Williams, interesting choice.
my two favorite shipping right now would be Noah's Mill, and
Someone's been hanging out with Steve Saka. Steve Saka loves Noah's Mill.
Yeah, well, I got a funny Thanksgiving. It wouldn't resonate with you guys, but me and my cousin one Thanksgiving drank a whole bottle, and all right, I'll tell the story. Because nobody from my in-laws are watching. So what happened was, I'm the oldest in my family for the most part, and my wife is the oldest, and my wife either hosts the parties or her parents host all the big holiday parties.
Yeah.
So big tradition for us is Thanksgiving is we go down the shore, we go to Avalon, and we have Thanksgiving down there, and it's just a really fun environment. And we have a big dinner. There's tables all over the place, and sitting there. And traditionally, me and my cousin-in-law Jimmy, we get a pass for my car, like whatever, so we can drive on the beach, because you can drive on the beach in the off season in Avalon. And we go and we smoke a cigar and might take a couple sips of bourbon, driving up and down the beach, enjoying, very responsible. And then we get back and then we finish our cigars and have some more bourbon. So we're drinking those. Next thing you know, it's almost time for dinner, and we kill the bottle.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm like, so we sit down for dinner, and another cousin-in-law, Billy, goes, we're going to tell you, but I proposed to Jen, and we're going to get married. I'm like, where are you guys going to get married? They're like, up in what's 1,000 Lakes, like Lake George or whatever that area, which is like an 8-hour drive. Like, you can't fly there, you got to drive. And I go, oh, that's cute. Why, Jen, are you from, they met each other at the University of Pennsylvania. And I'm pretty sure that's where they met. And I go, that's so cute. Is that where your family's from? Is that where you guys used to summer? Because those families summer, they use seasons as verbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, is that where, no, we went up there. We really liked it. And I go, well, that's fucking stupid. Because I'm thinking, we got to drive. We got kids. We got to, like, I got to go up there. Like, and Jimmy looked at me and I go, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I went downstairs to my room and went to bed. Snuck up on us. I was like, but Billy didn't get it mad at it. He thought it was kind of funny too, but it was, yeah. So it's just so delicious. It's such a great sipping.
And what was your third one?
The third one, I would have to say is I always go to Wilford as just a creature of habit. My exploratory on bourbon and whiskeys is not as much as it used to be, just because I'm so busy. But when I get a chance to go up to the 724 Lounge and see Kurt and all that stuff, Kurt is on top of it, like, hey, did you try this, Mick? Did you try that? And I go, is that why you have a hotel right next to it? One time, I had a hotel in Boston. I'm doing sales calls up to New England. And I still had my hotel room in Boston, but that night I had to get the hotel room right next to the 724. And then drive back down to Boston to change clothes for sales calls the next day.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's dangerous at Kurt's.
He
has everything. So, and
he smiles the whole time and says, "Did you try this?" I'm like, "Does anything affect you?" He's like the Kevlar of whiskey.
Well, not only
tequila.
that, now he's getting into tequila, and he's done a really good job with that. He's got some really cool tequilas up there. You don't strike me as a tequila guy, though.
I'll do it, but I spent some time in Mexico.
I seem to remember at the end of the trade show, you and I were sitting at Bar Luca at the hotel, and we were crushing some drinks. We had a good time.
What did you ordered? What did you order? It was cute.
It was cute. A margarita.
No.
Yeah, it was. I was drinking margaritas. That's like all I was drinking while I was up there.
Oh, that's not cute. Yeah, I drink margaritas.
Yeah, no, I remember it was like I think it was the last day. It was, what happened?
You were talking to me. You were talking to Yeah, because we're at the corner, right? We're at the corner.
Yeah, we were at the corner. We were
We're at
sitting
the
at the
corner
bar.
of the Circle Bar at the Lucas Square, right?
Yeah,
Everybody still calls it the Circle Bar.
I know. Yeah, the Circle Bar. For the you guys, most people probably recognize is that. Yeah, we were sitting at the corner. I was talking to you. I was talking to the folks from Nova, and then Fred Rui came up, and then Fred Rui was talking to me, and we were hanging out. And what he ordered something cute too. What did he get?
Oh, good. No. Well, margaritas aren't cute. I was just being a jerk.
I want to say he got like a Manhattan or like a Cosmo or something like that. I can't remember. Or a martini.
That's one guy I wanted to talk to more at the show that I didn't get a chance to talk to.
Fred Rui?
We used to talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rui.
He's an interesting character.
He did that great article.
He did.
Limelighted on SmokinTabacco.com.
He did. Or moonlighted.
Moonlighted, whatever.
Moonlighted. He got some limelight as a moonlighter on SmokinTabacco.com. He wrote a great piece on how to blow smoke rings. And you can read all about it at SmokinTabacco.com. But yeah, no, there's some nice choices. The Noah's Mill is a decent one. I really like its brother, the Rowan's Creek. That's a really good one for me. It's 100.
Okay.
I think it's 100.1 proof, and but it's real smooth. It's real nice. Both of those come from the Willett Distillery.
Yep.
I would say.
Nobody knew what it was. As soon as they called it the poor man's pappy, everybody had to have it.
Which one?
All the Wellers.
Oh, the Weller. Oh, Weller. I didn't hear you say Weller. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we, I was.
Willett.
Willett. Yeah. Well, Weller is definitely up there too, which it now has become.
Yeah, we used to talk about Willett. Yeah.
I mean, Willett, I would say is like it's kind of a poor man's pappy. First it was Weller, then that became unattainable. If we're talking everyday whiskey, I'd like Standard Buffalo Trace, Rowan's Creek.
Woodford Double Oaked.
I don't like the. I would say my third would probably be the Jefferson. The Jefferson's a really nice bourbon. I really like Jefferson. I know you like the Woodford Double Oaked.
Yeah.
What would your other two be?
I'm really loving the Horse Soldier.
Ooh, that is a good one. Horse Soldier bourbon.
And I like my Weller.
Out of Florida?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. And I did like that Sweet Wheat a lot.
It was a big proponent of that.
Yeah, no, I was introduced. He talked to us about it on our a Christmas show because they did some sort of sampler with the Horse Soldier and some cigars, but we can't get it in New England. So when we went down to Florida, I was able to get a bottle.
Yeah, I think you bought a bottle of Corona.
Yeah,
I
did. So
it was.
So you know who Jeff Porshewitz bought his first barrel of whiskey with?
Who?
It was with me. It was whiskey because it was Tennessee whiskey. His first barrel that he ever bought. Now he's the biggest barrel buyer, if not the biggest barrel buyer in the United States. His first barrel he ever purchased was with me and at the Jack Daniel's distillery. We were down at the tasting. I set it up. We went down there. We had the limo. We took it down there, and that's when he was able to start researching that special license to bring those barrels into Florida. Because Florida has weird kind of licensing. The first, yes, about it. The first barrel he bought.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff definitely. He's another one, especially if you're talking about like cigar shops or lounges, who has an impressive lineup of, bourbons, whiskeys in general, but a lot of stuff. But you look at his whiskeys and his barrels that he had.
Everything.
He's got everything. I mean, cigars, he's got everything.
He didn't want to buy barrels.
Oh.
Everybody does. Everybody. It's interesting. I was with him when he bought his first barrel. We had so much fun.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's another whole thing too. Is the whole the barrel picks now that have taken off, and gotten way more popular, and people go nuts for them too. Is another thing about the bourbon industry too now, which is huge. Is all the barrel picks. Wellers. I mean, you talk about Weller when you can find it. A regular Weller is great. You find a 107 barrel pick, it's like, oh my god. It's the end of the world. Oh my god, you found a Weller 107 barrel pick. And then it depends on who has it and whatever or not. Who picked the barrel. But yeah, I mean, we could get into whiskey too, but I don't think we have time for that. So anyway, so yeah, that's our top 3 segment. So Mickey, getting back to cigars here. This cigar, so again, for those maybe who just joined in or whatever, missed the beginning, I'm smoking the All Saints Dedicación Habano, and Nicole is smoking the All Saints St. Francis Colorado. What do you think of that cigar?
I love it.
Really?
I find it to be mild for me. It's toasty.
Mhm.
That's how I would describe it. It's toasty, but it's
Yeah,
not,
it's supposed to be good. I like that.
not too peppery. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying it right now.
The one thing I like about this cigar is that it's got a little bit of spice, just a hint of pepper. It's not too much. It's enough where the flavor profile is just right and it's enjoyable. It's not overpowering.
It's balanced.
It's very well balanced. It's not overpowering. For me, I get the pepper like right at the end, and it's so subtle and it's like a nice finish. And I really like the way that kind of blended and came together. This is a great cigar. One of the things I noticed too is that the way they smoke, it reminds me so much of Padron. And how.
George, it's not fucking me saying this shit. All right.
No, it reminds
me.
me.
To show you, you run around this country saying everybody you're the poor man's Padron. I'm like, no, it's only $10. Stop it, George. I'm not saying that. It's not me.
It's me. I'll say it. I'll say it. I can say it. That's what I'm supposed to do. It reminds me of like Padron in terms of like just how loose that drawer is, how easy it burns, the amount of smoke it gives off, which I love, and that's half of why I love.
Me that like mouth watery.
Yeah.
Feel like at the bottom of my palate.
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh, that's awesome. Her clock's old dear friend of mine from the Davidoff days, and we had some fun catching up. Our models are a little bit similar the way we have with our partners and everything, and he always I believe in salivation. You talk about the palate and the umami. That was a debate when we first started talking about it. Hanky was one of the first guys that actually brought that to market. Everybody kind of talks about it now. I know Terrence is doing a great job with that right now. He's really taking it to the next level. Like, how do you reinvent that, or how do you take that out to market? Because it's something that's always been done within the community. And Terrence with the little papelitos and all that stuff, just amazing. But you talk to Herc Clocks, one of his number one things is salivation, right? So, right? You don't want a dry mouth when you're smoking a cigar, right?
No.
So,
no.
And his whole thing is like, how long does it take me to reach for a glass of water? When you're smoking, you get that salivation. You talk about the salivation. That's great. That's what transports all those flavors around. So that it's a very integral part. And thank you for saying that. That actually. One of the best compliments I've had. So
And it's not something that gets talked about.
No, but we talked about it with Terrence Riley when we did the tasting with him, and the different tobaccos, when they stand out, now I'm going to mess it up, but salivating at different parts of your mouth, right?
Right.
They're stimulating different parts, different tobaccos.
Yeah, you get your rail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's an important.
Talks about it a lot. I guess Terrence does too, but yeah. So.
It's one of those things that I feel like I don't hear enough in conversations. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's an important part because he's right. I like the whole idea of, well, how often am I grabbing for water when I am smoking a cigar.
But I feel like people don't get to that point until they're kind of diving deeper into trying to taste flavor notes, and
that's true too.
They don't get to the point where they're noticing that yet.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, a lot of people too.
Around the mouth though too. That's it's a transporter of that. So
yeah, and one of the things you pick up, which can be tough too. I mean, it depends on sometimes it's your region too. If you're somewhere like in the Southwest, for example, we were all just out in Las Vegas in the desert. It was very hot and it was very dry. And cigars aside, mouth being really dry as it is from the dry climate. I remember smoking through we smoked a lot of cigars when we were out there, and I just remember too, my palate was off, because I wasn't used to the dryness, and my mouth was extra dry, and I felt like every cigar I smoked just tasted different than it normally does for me because it wasn't salivating as much as it used to, or that I'm used to, and it changed.
Matthew, in all fairness, though, you were working. So
It's true.
I mean, you're talking, doing interviews, smoking. You're trying to smoke. You're trying to do interviews. A lot of that activity takes away from your palate a little bit.
It's true.
And it's funny. I looked at the last night. I think it was right after you had that cute drink. Um, I'm kidding. And I looked at Terrence and I was like, Terrence, how are you? He goes, Mickey, how are you? I'm like, you lost your voice. He goes, yeah, I lost my voice. If you don't lose your voice at a trade show, you didn't do your freaking job.
It's funny, and I remember you saying that to me when we were there, and it was funny because it was so loud there.
You're like, quiet, because you on there and like your voice comes across when I'm watching your shows and stuff, and you're like you're sitting right next to me, and I was afraid to lean in because they thought I'm going to try to kiss the guy with the cute beard. You know what I mean? Like, well, man, it's your beard, and I'm like, no, like, because you were a little soft at the end too. Like your voice was a little soft at the end.
I was beat.
Yeah.
I didn't get a lot of sleep, as most people don't.
I said it as a compliment. I don't say that as disparaging.
No. Yeah, I gave it all.
So that's why, and thank you for not smoking my stuff there and saving it for the show. That means a lot to me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I try. One of the things, a good tip that a good friend of mine, William Cooper, a little plug right out there, taught me was, when you go to the shows, don't smoke that shit there. Bring it home, let it age. I'm paraphrasing, but bring it home,
Right.
let it age, let it get, make sure they're fresh, then try them. Don't smoke them out there because they're not going to be their best. They get dried out, and you're walking around with them all day, and so I wait and I saved them, and lo and behold, they're great. They're fantastic.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Coop? So, Coop, thank you for saying compliment that I actually read your articles, because I do. But by the way, the Phillies won today in the businessman special 2-1 over the Dodgers. I know after last night we got our ass handed to us, but the Phillies won today 2-1. That should spark some shit. There you go.
Boom.
We're both Philly fans.
It was funny. Do you remember the poster? I think you signed the poster. Did you sign the poster?
Yeah, I signed the poster.
Did you see what? Did you see what Terrence Riley wrote on the poster?
No, what did he write?
He signed his name, then he wrote like Gabe Kapler for Manager of the Year. And Coop's like, who wrote that? Who wrote that? And he thought who did he say? He thought it was someone else. I go, no, that was Terrence Riley. And he goes, oh wait, yeah, that makes more sense. So while we're on the topic of Coop, really quick, I think it's just worth mentioning because it just kind of blew me away today. Did you happen to see Joe Grow from Drew Estate, what he posted online today for his airport selfie challenge for Cigar Coop?
No, I didn't.
So they actually had little.
I can't even read appearances. They're like Shakespearean. So what's that word, Nicole? Willikes?
What? Oh, like a soliloquy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, give me bullet points. I want no more than one verb and one noun in each bullet point. I can't. Everything looks like one big run-on sentence to me.
They had made Cigar Coop challenge coins, which I believe is supposed to be Coop sitting on an airplane, and like they're actual, like tangible, like metal coins.
Yeah.
And you're right. It was a long post, but I remember seeing that and being like, "Wow, stepped up his game." That was pretty good. And I told Joe too. I'm like, "Yeah, you deserve the win on that one. That's pretty good."
That is the most prized trophy in the industry, from what I understand. Anybody that's in this industry, they want that trophy. I don't care, Cigar of the Year or what. I want that fucking thing.
I had a pretty good run at it, and I was real confident that I had a solid chance of winning. I think Joe's got me beat with the coin.
But I have some ideas for next year.
But I'm also ineligible because I do a show with Coop.
Don't tell anybody you got ideas, Nicole.
Yeah, don't say it on the air.
I don't have to share them right now.
This is like the Pentagon. When it comes to the Cigar Coop photo contest, it's like the Pentagon. The secrets stay inside. You don't tell the enemy what you're working on. Even though we are ineligible, it's okay. I need the shock value to be there when it's presented. Come on.
This one will have the shock value.
This will have shock value. I
Yeah.
still don't know if we'll be able to win, but and Coop said to me, he's like, "This is true. You are ineligible." As Terrence Riley reminded me of like several times. He's like, "It is true, but I have to he's like, I have to find a way to acknowledge it because you guys did a good job." I'm proud of it, and I got to give Nicole credit. She came up with the concept. She came up with it, put it together, and then I executed it. So it was a team effort, but it did originate with Nicole. So hands down, it was a great time, and to everyone who competes in the Cigar Coop Airport Selfie Challenge, good luck. So Mickey, as we kind of get towards the end of the show, we begin to wind down.
I don't want to stop. I'm having fun.
You don't want to stop? You want to keep going? It's getting hot out here.
Feels like 98 degrees.
Feels
right now.
feels like 112.
I know.
With with 200% humidity.
I'm having a blast. Thank you guys for inviting me on. This is real special. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Thank you for coming on. We were talking about it when we were at PCA, and I was like, yeah, we gotta have you on, and we put it together. Like, I think we were at the bar when we put this together. I'm like, where are you? August 11th. What's today? August 11th, August 12th. And you were like, yeah, we can do that. I penciled you in like right there. I'm like, done.
Yeah.
I whipped my phone out so fast. I'm like, we're putting this down on paper. I don't want to forget. But yeah, no, thank you for coming on with us. It has been a great time. But as I said, as we wind down the show, it's not coming to a complete halt yet. Tell me, I know we're smoking some stuff that's coming out later this year, but give us like a little preview of things to come for All Saints. So what are your goals, long term here, and what are you working on now for the future?
Well, we have quite a few projects that we're working on. I have to get back down to the factory. It's been a while since I've been down there. But we quite honestly, we have our hands full. Just still taking to market our Dedicación and our St. Francis, and let alone what we're referring to as the Colorado and the Habano for the namesake. That's going to take a lot. If you look at it from February of 2020 having 20 accounts to now to 150 accounts, which means probably over 200 locations, and we're not in enough places. We have to worry about getting those first two, on the shelf, let alone the next two that are coming behind it in October.
Mm-hmm.
So that has our hands full. We did have the Solamente, and that's gone. That was a whole different story, different cons, and it was an accidental from originally starting it. We have a lot to work to do with what we have on the plate. I'm not against limited editions. I'm not against micro runs. I'm not against small batches. I'm not against those things. I really am working hard. I say I, and that's selfish. We are working really hard to be a horse in the stable. We want to be where you go when you go in there. Remember your old total geeked out freaking consumer days. But you know what? I gotta get in All Saints. You're gonna get out. You're gonna get anything else. I want to be a horse in that stable. We want to be a horse in that stable. So that's very important with us right now. So that's keeping us occupied. We have other stuff that's coming down, and honestly, this whole explosion with what's going on in social media and these things, that's keeping us busy, keeping up with that as well, and just thanking the people that are thanking us and giving us an opportunity. And we're so blessed that we have an opportunity, that people are giving us an opportunity to be, a part of their smoking lineup. Listen, a cigar, let's just say an average cigar is an hour and a half. That so for somebody to make a commitment to that's very special to us. And we want to keep that, and we want to make sure that we deliver that, on a consistent basis. So, you talk about brand fatigue, you talk about these other things. It's funny when you were talking about the parts of the palate. I was thinking about brand fatigue. That's how you stop brand fatigue. We want you not to have brand fatigue with it. It's the biggest, it's the scariest thing that's out there at any level of your growth. So, and keeping current with with what's out there without being too current, but without also being too slow to market. If that makes sense.
You touched on something I forgot about that I wanted to ask you about. The Solamente. Uh, tell me a little bit about that project, and you said you won't bring that back.
That's not true.
Ah.
So that was an accident. Somebody said to me, it's kind of like a lost and found. I'm like, dude, nobody can replicate that model. Those guys do a fantastic job. It was like a forgotten and an oh shit. That's literally what it was. So when I talked about going down there in 17 and getting ready geared up to go spend time down there in 18, we made 15,000 of these cigars. We were in different shapes. We did one shape, one size. Honestly, I completely and utterly forgot about them. So Nimish and I are down in the factories February 19th. We're finalizing the Dedicacion blend, and we're starting to work on some of these other blends, the other three that you now know about, right? And Amica or Amilcar Perez kept going, Miki, solamente. He kept going ape shit. He got 15,000 cigars. What are we gonna do with them? I'm like, oh yeah, let's bring it out. Let's smoke one. We smoke it, and he kept yelling solamente, which means only in Spanish. I text Frank Leo, my partner, and I go, Frank, try to trademark solamente. It ain't gonna work, but let's try to do it. So we go through because there's certain names you just can't trademark, like Habana, whatever. So Nimish starts laughing. He goes, if you didn't do it, I was going to do it. Now, that has a Habano wrapper on it. It has Nicaraguan filler and binder, and it's made in the Tabacusa factory. All our stuff is made in the Tabacusa factory exclusively right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're exclusive with our Rocky relationship. It's our own blends, but we don't, everything you learn in business school, throw it out the window. We don't want a lot of partners. We want to be very linear as possibly as we can. We might leave ourselves a little exposed, but it doesn't matter. That's what we want to do. So anyways, I said, all right, we got 15,000 of them. Let's box up 10,000 of them, use 5,000. That's what we'll take to market. I can go around and say hi to my old friends and blah, 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 blah. And Skip Martin and a couple other friends in the industry oh, it's such a great cigar. And then, I'm like, Skip, for the love of God, just fake it. Act like you like the dedication. We got a 91 and half wheel with that, and which was that's a whole nother story in itself. But, and that's what it was, and that's it. Now, that blend can be replicated. That wasn't like some, as I used to say in the early interviews, some tobacco we found up some donkey's ass out in the finca somewhere. I mean, they're readily available tobaccos. But the way it's put together is a little unique, like you were talking about earlier. And the name Solamente. Now, that has like I said, an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper on it. If we use the name Solamente in the future, which we probably will, it will be a Puro, because I think that's a great name for a Puro. Solamente, only. Only one country.
Right. So
that blend, and we introduced that blend again. We would definitely probably, I would say there's a 95% chance that we admit that that's a blend. Now the crops will be different, the aging, all that stuff would be different. We would definitely admit to it, and that would open up a can of worms, obviously. But the name Solamente is not dead, and the blend's not dead. But
you can still purchase them.
They'll be together. I can't see them being together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if we did the blend Solamente again, it would be called something else. And if we did Solamente, the name, which we will use at some point, it'll be a Puro.
Okay. If people do want to purchase the cigar in question, though, Two Guys still has them online.
Interesting.
Two Guys, Wooden Indian.
Yep.
Other people have them, but Wooden Indian, matter of fact, I'm smoking their new little thing they're doing, the Cafe Cubano.
Ooh.
Which is a little smoke. You want me?
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'll get you guys some. I'll talk to the guys that send you some to the same address I sent the other stuff to that you had in Watertown.
Sure. Yes.
I'll tell them as soon as we hang up. I'll have them do it. Yes. Did I answer that question?
You did.
Yeah.
You did. You did.
I either go off on a tangent. If you ask me what time it is, I build you a watch. I say that all the time. It drives my wife crazy.
No, it's been a great conversation. It's been a great show.
I like watching Nicole's arm come over towards you, because that's the same thing that my wife does to me. My bride does to me sometimes when we're out. When I see that arm coming over, she's reeling me in from something.
Yeah.
I'm not reeling it. I haven't reeled you in tonight.
Yeah. No.
I do though sometimes.
Usually it's the tap on the leg or like the kick of the foot under the table where you guys can't see it when I have to either.
Because he goes on a tangent.
I'm like, I'll be right in front of my in-laws and I'll go, Kimmy, why are you tapping me on the leg? What did I do wrong? She's like, that's exactly what you're doing wrong. That's why I tapped you on the leg.
But no, it's been a great conversation. It's been a great show. Again, thank you for coming on. Guys, thank you for watching and listening at home. And once again, you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Odyssey, and everywhere podcasts can be found. So don't forget to go on and like, follow, and subscribe everywhere you can find us. We really appreciate it. And thanks for supporting everything that we do. Mickey, thanks for coming on the show. Anything else you want to say on the show before we wrap up? Any announcement you want to make? The floor is yours.
No, announcements. Just a bunch of thank yous. The attitude of gratitude. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It means so much. And thanks for tolerating me doing it here from the Wooden Indian. These guys have been so incremental in my growth in my business when I first launched. And with Todd and Dan and John and these guys and Dave, who's not here, he's out fishing. But just a big old thank you, and thanks for giving us the time to be, a part of your smoking environment, whether it's smoking a cigar or listening to me banter on with you guys. So I appreciate it, and congratulations again to you on the engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mickey.
You only engage once, so enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, we will. It's been a fun journey so far. Nicole, is there anything that you want to?
Next week, we have Abe Flores.
We do
on the show. And then
Your Abe.
Yeah, he's coming on.
And then when is he
I
coming on?
think that I have to check the schedule. I feel like the week after that's I think we might have two empty weeks there, which is gonna be a couple of in-house shows, and then September 9th, I believe, is Klaus Kellner from Davidoff. Will be on here, and we'll be doing a nice Davidoff show. Yeah, it'll be a great time. We're really looking forward to that. John should be back next week.
And we have to have a celebration because for our viewers who don't know, which I'm sure they saw, John got married this past weekend.
Yes,
so we need to do some sort of celebration on the show for John.
We will. We'll have to think of something special.
Yes.
We'll have to acknowledge that in a very special way. But with that, you'll have to wait for next week. John should be back next week, so we'll figure it out then. Guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.